What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video I'm back to talk about the conclusion of Tournament 32, and I'm going to talk to you about my defense, the defense that I used throughout this tournament. I did not change my defense throughout the tournament. It was the defense I set up on the first day. It worked throughout all the days, and this is why I put usually my defenses on Patreon. Not only it supports the channel, but I think it gives enough value, because from the feedback that people told me, they were able to climb a lot of rankings just based on the defense alone. And even my own defense at the level that I'm playing, so right now we are at top 100, I was able to get 19 defensive wins throughout the entire tournament. This means that on average, we had around 4 defensive wins per match, and we had a total of 5 matches. And the last one, I lost the match. It was the only match that I lost, but it was more because of Scopely bullshit than anything else, because as you guys can see, there are 3 fails here, but one of them does not count because it's the Scopely way, because otherwise I would have won, because I only did 1 fail, and then we have 2 fails here. And here we have 1 fail, and then we have 3 fails. So there is more fails on my opponent. So I should have won, but thanks to Scopely, I didn't. Okay, so we're gonna talk about what makes a good defense and big mistakes that people usually make when they are setting up their defense, and why on the long term it's not like something that holds properly, right? You don't have usually a defense that really holds. And we saw this recently on the tournament of the Envoys. The Envoys always had to change the defense all the time because they were not able to come up with something that is consistent. So we're going to break down all the information that you need to know, so in the future you know exactly what defense to set up. If you want to follow my defenses and support the channel, you can follow me on Patreon. There is a tier for the Cosmic Crucible defenses and counters. And as always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure to share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button like a boss. Okay, so let's take a look at my defense. Pretty simple, nothing crazy. One thing that you're going to see right away is that ISO 8 is extremely important, and sometimes you win matches based on the ISO 8 alone. For example, here we have Shadow King with the healer ISO 8. Why we have Shadow King with healer ISO 8? Because he goes very early on the match, because he does the ultimate, and if you do the ultimate and if you have dealer ISO 8, you're gonna clear the vulnerability, and this is a counter against Cabal. So you can see that based on the ISO 8 alone, we are already setting up counters for possible teams that we might face. Then we have the Illuminati team. We have Captain Britain with the Fortified ISO 8. And we have a pre-taunting tank to protect Captain Britain early on, so you cannot sack it with Infinity Watch. This is something that the Envoys and the friends of the Envoys do quite often, try to sack Infinity Watch, and like this it was not going to be possible. Fortified ISO 8 on Odin, not the best option, but increases his survivability, and that's another good thing as well that can help you get defensive wins. And then on my last room, we have once again healer ISO 8s on specific characters. We have raiders on characters where the AI will work in an inconsistent way. And we have only strikers on characters that we know for sure that they will land those striker ISO 8s. Or because they go way too fast and then they take the second turn and then they could do the ISO 8. Or something like that, where the ISO 8 is just so beneficial that it's preferable for you to have like that. Okay, so on the first room, let's analyze this situation. We have Kaori that gets speed bar on spawn. This means that she can counter characters like Cabal. In this room, the specials were way more expensive and the ultimates were way cheaper. So you want to make sure that you have characters with powerful ultimates. In this room, if you try to bring any kind of mutants like Immortal X-Men, it would be very hard for you to use them. And even if you'd use them, I had Nimrod with Sentinel, so we can have a pre-taunting tank from the Sentinel, and at the same time we have Nimrod with massive amount of damage, plus ability block and so on. We have Shadow King on defense, and if you put Shadow King on its own on defense, that's not good. You always want to have Shadow King plus another astral character, so if Shadow King dies, the possession goes to another character. This is the best way you can increase the value of your Shadow King, because if it's by himself and if he dies, well, then the possession goes away and you got nothing out of it. So if you have two characters, at least there is a high chance that one of them will stay alive. And one of the matches that I won, it was with Emma Frost and Possession. She one-shot the entire team on her own. The another thing that you have to talk about is the position of the characters. You don't want to have important characters, like characters with possession, to be on the same circle of 3 slots. So you have this character, the circle of 3 slots is this one, the primary target adjacent. So with the Shadow King, you have Shadow King and Nimrod. Nimrod, it has Sentinel and Shadow King. Emma Frost is Emma Frost, Sentinel and Kawari. And you have to balance this out in a way that you are not crippling your own isolate, and at the same time you are not crippling other beneficial effects like revives, possession, or anything like that. Okay, so that was my first room. Once again, we have Kawari, we have Shadow King, and we have the Sentinels to counter Cabal, to counter Immortal, and to counter any kind of other mutant teams or teams that are with old stats from the previous year. In room 2, we had the room where it had the least relevancy. This room was very important because it changes the amount of energy that you have for the special and for the ultimate. The room 2 is what people usually call a blank room, because you can pretty much put here whatever you want. Immortal X-Men here, of course, is going to be the strongest, so you want to put a team here that Immortal X-Men cannot beat easily. That's the only way you can really capitalize on it, otherwise you are just wasting potential. And this is something that you have to always look for, is how to maximize the potential of your team. So here with Illuminati and Odin, we already knew that Immortal X-Men cannot one-shot these, and we spice it up or with Black Knight or with Gladiator or any kind of pre-taunting tank that is solid. A lot of the people on the community were using characters like Zombie Juggernaut and Sasquatch, and those characters, they are fine on their own, but because they have the stats from yesteryear, many times they get clapped just based on that alone. And this is why sacrificing Gladiator here is not a big deal, especially because you only have 3 rooms, right? And having the benefit of having the 3 Annihilators, it's not bad, but it's something that in this case it was not necessary. And that's why we're using the Gladiator together with the Illuminati characters and Odin. And for the final room, we have a Turtle Shell where we have more barrier. So of course we are gonna have multiple characters with barrier. We have Super Skrull, we have Thanos, and we have Mephisto. 3 characters that can provide barrier to the entire team. Then we have the increased damage from all sources, and this is base damage, as you can see right here. Many times I mentioned this. If it has a big D, it's base damage. If it has a small d, it's damage multiplier of your abilities. And this means that passive abilities like pings, passive abilities like the passive of Thanos that attacks everyone, this is going to be very useful for us because we have all this free damage and we want to capitalize on it as much as possible. As I mentioned before, you always want to have a fast character with the Healerize weight, so you can clear vulnerabilities away. And in this case, Omega Sentinel, not only she pings, but she also heals, so it will be some additional benefit that we would have. Once again, we have the factor that we have counters against the mutants, as Omega Sentinel, she can stun tech characters and mutant characters, and not only this includes Immortal X-Men, it also includes Mercenaries and also Cabal that have tech characters and mutant characters. And this is how you build a good defense. As you guys can see, many of the envoys, they were using Orcish on defense, but they were using Orcish on defense on the same room that gets easily countered by, for example, Night Stalkers. Can you use Night Stalkers here against Mephisto, Thanos and Skrull? Absolutely not, right? So we are still getting value of Orcish and at the same time cancelling the value of Night Stalkers. Because if you put just Orcish on defense, yeah, sure, Night Stalkers absolutely destroys them. Then we have the same situation with Cabal. We need to have healer isolate characters that will clear the vulnerabilities away, and then Cabal cannot compromise your team. Then we have to make sure that we have counters against the mutants like Nimrod, like Omega Sentinel. Once again, Orkish. But should you use Orkish, the entire team in one place? Absolutely not. You should split them apart and make sure you are making the most out of them on specific rooms like this one and like this one. This one we don't need because we have Odin Illuminati and they already counter Immortal X-Men on their own. So this is how we use Orkish. Once again, we are using the entire team of Orkish while splitting them, and splitting them actually increase the value of our defense rather than decreasing, because once again, if you just put vanilla Orkish full team together on defense, they get absolutely destroyed and they become absolutely meaningless, which is not the case in this specific scenario. And these are the ways you can increase the value of your defense. You have to look at the potential of your characters, what counters, what are the popular teams going on right now, and how can you counter those specific teams. Once again, Immortal X-Men, they are mutants, so we want to make sure that you have abilities against mutants. Then we have Cabal, what they are? Mutants, tech, they benefit of vulnerabilities, so we're gonna stop that. What other benefits? Characters like Kang that go very fast, so we want to make sure that we have a pre-taunting tank or someone that retaliates, like Black Knight, like Gladiator, like Sentinel. And based on this alone, based on this, you can get massive amount of rankings and increase your output in terms of rewards. Once again, based on my performance, you guys can see that I should have won this tournament. No offense against duarktikhq, but I should have won because he has one more attack than I did. You can see right here once again, he has 3 attacks on this room and I only have 2. So I should won based on that, but Scopely messed it up also with the ranking. And either way, you guys can see it's the performance. People on Patreon said that they were using my defense, amazing results. And based on this defense alone, we're able to get to top 100 easily. And now you're gonna get all these extra rewards, which are not insanely higher compared to the other ones, but anything adds up at the end of the day. So yeah guys, that is my defense. That was the defense that I used on this tournament 32. If there will be another tournament with the same rules, I might do minor changes that I was thinking about just to increase even more the setup of my defense. We'll see if that's the case or not. But now you can feel free to use it if they decide to repeat the event. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and breakdown of how to set up your defense for this type of tournaments. And if you found the information helpful, make sure you share it to your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Mouse Force content. And I'll catch you guys later.